Tide Talk podcast as we are here with a early signing day special. Big day already for Alabama. They have several guys that have already, faxed in their national letter of intent to the Crimson Tide. So big day for Alabama. We're going to be talking about all that. We're going to be talking about some of the guys that have commitments coming up here over the next couple hours. So we're excited about that. Jake, I don't know about you, but this is kind of like an early Christmas present for us. How you feeling, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. I took a couple of days off here from work, not because of this, but I had a couple of days left. But it just happened to be that I could take the day off, and we was able to do something. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited. Like you said, this is like an early Christmas, especially for Bama fans, because we usually rack up recruits on early signing day. So it's just it's the next guys up, in the future for the guy, for the team. So excited to see them commit and then how they develop at Alabama.
Yeah, most definitely. Really excited about that. The chat is open, guys. So if you want to jump in there, go right ahead. I'll just get it started here. Um, we're excited that you're joining us today. So feel free to jump in there at any point in time, and we'll do our best to kind of discuss what's going on. But we're excited to be here today to kind of give a live show during National Signing Day for the early signing period. So, like we mentioned, we're excited to be here. Have a guy coming up here in just a couple minutes, an in-state kid, Curtis Perry. So,
Hmm.
at 12 o'clock, he should be making his announcement. On CBS Sports HQ. So we're excited to see what happens there. Uh, right now, it's really 50-50 on him between Alabama and Auburn. So I don't really want to make a prediction because it really is a flip of a coin, if I'm just being honest. So we're excited to see where that goes. Like we mentioned, that's just going to be here within the next few minutes. So we're excited about that. Some of the guys who have already faxed in their letters, I guess they still fax them in. I don't even know. I mean,
I don't know
we, we,
anymore.
we we may have moved past the old fax days. Of course, we remember some of the fax machine
Oof.
scandals and pics
Yeah.
that's been released in the past. But some of the guys that are already, I guess on the team, you could say that have faxed in their, we're going to keep saying fax. I don't know if that's technically the way they do it still or not. But Jeremiah Alexander, the 5-star edge defender from Alabama. Of course, the 5-star quarterback Ty Simpson's on board. He announced yesterday that he's going to be an early enrollee and he's going to be
Hmm.
practicing with the team for the bowl season. So he'll be with the team as they prepare for Cincinnati and a playoff run there. Tyler Booker's on board. Sean Murphy, Jaleel Skinner, Jamarian Miller, Amari Nablack, Traquan Fagans, Elijah Brown, Isaiah Hastings, Dane Shore. So a bunch of really quality players have already got their national letter of intent sent in. So we're excited about all those players. And like we said, uh, Curtis Perry will be announcing here within the next few minutes, and we're certainly excited about that. Big day. It really is a big day. It's a life changing decision that these young men are making. So I guess the biggest story of the day has nothing to do with Alabama, but it's the fact that the top ranked player in the country,
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, flipped his commitment from Florida State to Deion Sanders in Jackson State. What an incredible! I mean, it's groundbreaking. Really, that's really the only way you can put it. It's probably the start of something new in college football.
Absolutely, and that's what makes early signing day so fun is you have some of these flips that you don't see coming, just like Travis Hunter today. I would never have thought the top recruit would go to Jackson State of all places. I mean, yeah, I mean, and
Money
that's what
talks.
exactly. So now you got this new NIL deal, and that's what I was wondering how the NIL was going to how's it going to change recruiting for the future? And we're already seeing it a little bit this year.
Right. Yeah. It's
Hmm.
most definitely going to have a big impact.
Yeah.
We're awaiting the announcement from Curtis Perry. Uh, Jake Curtis Perry is a really good player. The way I look at these kids, because I think the biggest pitch that Auburn would have over Alabama at this point in time with Perry is maybe early playing time.
Yeah.
But the way I look at that, Jake, is at Alabama, you're going to play if you can play. It don't
Right.
matter what age you are, what class you're in. If you can play, you're going to see the field. So uh, if Curtis Perry is not able to play at Alabama, then pretty early on, do we want him to sign with Alabama? Of course, I want to take him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's not getting Curtis Perry wouldn't be the end of the world. So,
Right.
and like I mentioned before, this is really a coin flip. He's going to be announcing here any moment on CBS Sports HQ. So if you're not watching that, we obviously want you to stay tuned into us because we'll be discussing that. But you can also pull up CBS Sports HQ and watch his actual commitment. So they'll be live streaming that here momentarily. They're really kind of talking him up right now and talking about the prospects of Perry. And so excited to see where he goes. Excited for the young man, obviously, whether he picks Alabama or not. What a great opportunity. You think about these young men, not all of them come from the greatest upbringings or the greatest homes or, not all of them are, as fortunate as a lot of people. And this is kind of their opportunity to change the future of their family. So
Hmm.
just really excited for all these young men.
Absolutely. And you talked about the prospects of playing early, at Auburn, but as we Alabama fans have seen the last couple of years, especially when injuries happen, how guys, step up. A couple of years ago, we had Shane Lee and Christian Harris
Right.
step up, and they're true freshmen. I mean,
Hmm.
because we had so many injuries at linebacker. This year we had Christopher Allen go down. We had Drew Sanders step up, but then he got injured. Dallas Turner emerged. So I
Yep.
mean, injuries happen everywhere. So and Saban's going to put the best guys on the field. So if you show commitment, you buy into the process, as they say, and you just beat out your guy that's in front of you, Saban's going to play you. So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
If you're worried about playing time in Alabama, if you play lights out in spring, you buy into the process and you beat your guy out in fall camp, then you
Yeah.
ought to play and you're going to play ahead of that guy.
For sure. C Bama
Yeah,
says roll tide, roll
roll
tide.
tide.
Appreciate you watching.
Hmm.
As we await the commitment of Curtis Perry, um, uh, I think he's around he's a top 100 prospect, so a really talented player, defensive lineman. So excited about that. But a few other guys throughout this afternoon that'll be making their announcements: Shaz Preston, Earl Little
Hmm.
Jr., Jahad Campbell, Anthony Lucas, Marvin Jones Jr., Anai White, Shamar James, uh, guy, let's see, Kendrick Law and Damani Jackson are not going to be making their announcements until Friday. And Ernest Green is not going to make his until January 8th, is what is the latest on those. So we'll see what happens there. But like we mentioned, there's been several guys that have already, sent in their national letter of intent. So we're excited about all those players, and we'll talk a little bit about each one of them as the show continues. Right now, like we mentioned, we're just awaiting the news of Anthony Lucas and kind of seeing where he decides to go. Uh, and it looks like he's getting ready to make that selection right now. He's
Yep.
got 5 hats on the table: Alabama, Central Florida, Auburn, Texas, and Clemson. So we'll just kind of see where he goes. He's making his announcement now. So at any moment, we're going to know where Anthony Lucas is going to be heading for the next few years. So uh,
Whoa.
just
He picked Alabama.
all right. So I'm behind.
Yeah.
So he has picked Alabama. Great
Yep.
pickup for the Tide.
Big time.
Really excited to have Curtis Perry on board for this class of 2022. A lot Auburn made a late push, Jake.
Hmm.
They were really zoned in on him. Tried to get that in-state prospect, but Alabama did enough early to keep or to hold on to Perry, who Alabama thought they were going to be able to get for most of the recruitment. So excited to have Perry on board. Perry is a guy who's really talented. He can make. He's an impact player along the defensive line, in my opinion. He's quick, maybe kind of in the mold of a Quentin Williams, if I'm just being honest, as far as the type of player he is along the defensive line.
Yeah, he's a guy that I could see make an immediate impact. We got some guys going to be leaving this year for the draft, so that's going to be defensive line is going to be a position where there's going to be a lot of guys that can step up and have a chance to take over that role, and he could be one of those guys that could come in as a true freshman and play right off the bat.
Right, and where the comparisons to Quentin Williams come in is Williams. If a lot of people remember, he was really undersized when he got to Alabama.
Hmm.
Only weighed about 260 or so, and Perry's in the same boat. He's about 260, 265, but just a very violent player along the defensive line. I mean, he's got strong hands. He plays hard. His motor is always wide open. So, and a lot like Quentin Williams, who's just kind of
Hmm.
relentless in his effort and will make a lot of plays and really just really heavy handed and really strong at the point of attack. So excited to have Perry. Really good job of the staff being able to close him out and keep him or get him into Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely, that's a big pickup, and hopefully, we don't think we're going to end just on Perry today. We got several others coming up, and we, like you mentioned, at the start of the show, we've got several good players already, and a lot of talent coming back in. We're going to be losing a lot, but as we always say, Alabama doesn't rebuild; it reloads, and we're starting off on a right foot, reloading with some new guys this year.
That's right. That's right. Just it's amazing the way Saban has been able to just continue this dominance on the recruiting trail. And look, I've seen a lot of people complaining that we may miss out on a handful of guys, and they
Hmm.
may go to Texas A&M or Georgia. Look, I think a class should be remembered by who you signed, not by who you didn't sign.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
look, we didn't sign Trevor Lawrence, but that didn't keep us from winning championships.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Exactly.
so what I'm saying is don't get caught up in all this. Look, I'm as excited about signing day as anybody. I love recruiting as much as the next guy. But Jake, these rankings and all this doesn't matter until you get them on campus and see what they're made of when you put them between them two white lines.
Hmm. That's
So
right.
that's when you find out what you have. The coaching staff does a great job of scouting these players and putting a premium on which players they want to go after the most. So I have all the confidence in the world because of the track record that Nick Saban has in his past 15 years at Alabama of him signing the right kids and then developing those kids into championship football players. So if we finish with the third ranked class in the country, man, I'm not worried in the least.
No. Nick Saban is the GOAT. We've already, everybody's knows that. It's well established. And, you know, I've always been the one that said Saban can take a team full of 2 and 3 stars and make them champions. That's just how he is.
Right.
So,
I mean,
you know, I mean, it's Saban. I'm not,
sa-
I'm not
s-
never going to doubt Saban.
well, I mean, we saw what doubting Saban did a couple weeks ago in the SEC championship game. Look,
Right.
and you're talking about splitting hairs between the top ranked class and the third ranked class anyway.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't get the there's a lot of Alabama fans, if you look at message boards, that just want to jump off a cliff because we may not sign Marvin Jones Jr., for instance, or Shamar
Right.
James, for instance.
Or
I
Damani
mean,
Jackson. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean, just chill out, guys, chill out.
right.
and
And
and something else to keep in mind is the transfer portal is still going to be available.
and there's a bunch of talent in that transfer portal right now.
Yep.
I mean, a bunch.
Well, and to your point about you mentioned Damani Jackson, who's going to hold off until Friday, which is all signs are pointing to USC. But
Right.
if it was 100% USC, why is he waiting until Friday?
Exactly.
I mean, I still think that there's a chance that Alabama has made him think enough that it's a little harder decision than just I'm going to USC because they held on to the defensive backs coach. So uh, I think that might be a little closer than what a lot of people think. I still think he picks USC, but
Hmm.
like you mentioned, if he doesn't go to Alabama, uh, you know, Eli Ricks may be in the transfer portal, and if
Hmm.
he doesn't follow his defensive backs coach from LSU to Florida,
Hmm.
whose name is slipping me right now, I think Raymond's his last name.
Yeah.
Um, look, Alabama could get him. Who would
Yeah,
you rather have tomorrow? Eli Ricks or Damani Jackson?
right. Ritz is
Ex-
established,
exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
and I mean these guys are 4 and 5 star players, but not every 4 and 5 star player, makes it in college football.
No
You
doubt.
know,
No doubt.
they can fall flat on their face because they can't handle the pressures. They can't handle juggling football with school, and you have all that happen. So if you have an established guy like Ritz, you I would take the experience over the big time recruit. Just in my personal opinion.
I'm with you 100% on that.
So,
Let's
but
see here. I'm trying to. If you're watching, guys, just bear with us. We'll be obviously looking at our phones and other uh, tablets and everything else, trying to make sure we don't miss any updates or any breaking news type situations. So uh, just bear with us on that. But uh, I'm excited about this class. I know, like I mentioned, there's a lot of people on message boards that are just kind of Debbie Downers, I guess,
yeah,
and are just never satisfied. It's probably the same people who thought the world was coming to an end when Alabama lost to Texas A&M, and they played a little inconsistent throughout the year. It's probably those same fans, but nevertheless, I have all the confidence in the world, like we mentioned in Nick Saban. So uh,
absolutely. And I just want to make this point real quick. You may or may not agree with it, but you know, even through our tough times with the mites as we call it,
yeah,
we may not been having great. We had a couple good guys. That we got as commits, but we was still even under my shield, we still won 10 games one year.
it's
You know,
crazy.
it is. And I mean, I don't. Did he have a top 10 class at when he was at Alabama?
Not that I recall.
Exactly. So I mean, and Saban, he's the name. He's going to get the big time guys. So just calm down. We talked about before Alabama's history. Their program history can sell itself.
Hmm.
But having Saban there also helps big time. But when you had the Mox there, it that program history helped bring in some of those big time recruits that we had, like Andre Smith and D'Amico Ryan's, guys like that.
Yeah. Um, let's start taking a look at some of these guys that have already sent in their letter of intent to sign with Alabama. Uh, I think Elijah Pritchett got the day started for Alabama, the
Mm-hmm.
four-star offensive tackle. Uh, just looking at Pritchard, Jake, I think his body's not quite yet ready for SEC football. But he's a guy who's maybe when he's a redshirt sophomore or a redshirt freshman, even kind of depending on who's ahead of him and all that, is a guy that I could see playing some tackle for Alabama. I think he is a really good prospect,
Mm-hmm.
and all these guys are prospects, but I think a lot of these guys are more projects. If you get
Right.
where I'm going, like and especially offensive lineman more than any position to me is a projection, not in a project because uh, we've talked about it before. When you're 6'6", 285, and 17 years old, you haven't obviously fully developed yet physically, and
Right.
so you're still learning how to maneuver uh, with that big of a body. So I think that Pritchett is a project, but I'm really glad to have him on board because I think in 2 or 3 years he could be a really, really good offensive tackle.
Absolutely. And I was happy to get Dan Shore as well. He looks like another guy who could, step up and play his redshirt sophomore year as well. So he was a real big pickup. I'm really interested in.
Yeah, and Booker is keeping it on the offensive line. Booker is another guy,
Hmm.
maybe a guy that would maybe start out at guard for Alabama, but may eventually could possibly move to tackle. And a lot of that depends on his development and then the development of other players around him on the roster. In the kind of in the same position. We got to remember we still have J.C. Latham,
Oh yeah.
the Brockermeyer brothers, and coming back next year, we'll still have Seth McLaughlin at center. Darian Dalcourt's only a junior.
Hmm.
And Javion Cohen's just a sophomore. So there's still a lot of young players there in the offensive line room. So I'm excited about the guys we have because they're not guys that are probably going to come in and expect to play right away. So they can develop, get better, get their bodies into better shape, and become really good football players. And like we said, in 2 or 3 years, be solid SEC football offensive linemen.
Absolutely. Good offensive line class coming in, and excited to see them grow, like you said, and see what they become in the next couple of years. So like you said, we got a lot of young talent still in the offensive line, which is great. And man, it's if you're an offensive lineman at Alabama, right now you got to be looking over your shoulder because, like you said, there's a lot of talent coming in. There's already a lot of talent there. So you got to play 110% every play, or you're going to drop, on the depth chart. So it's just that competition breeds competitions, I call it. So that makes everybody play better than what they need to. So I love that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's look at some of these other players, Jake.
Hmm.
Let's start with a guy who I think is maybe one of the most underrated players in this class, especially athletically. That's Jake Pope, the safety from Buford, Georgia.
Yeah.
Jake, I love watching that kid play. I
Hmm.
love watching that kid play. He loves football. You can
He
tell
does.
that football is what he loves, and I'm excited to have this guy on board. I know he's not the highest rated guy, but I think he's underrated athletically. I think he's a lot better than what people think.
Yeah, he looks like he could be a big time player in a couple years for Alabama on that defensive back side. And like you said, he loves football. I watched some film on him. He looks like he's a ball hawk. He knows what the ball is at all the
Right.
time. So and he we always talk about the heat seeking missiles. He could be the next guy, be a heat seeking missile for us that can find the ball where it's at and make a big play. So I'm excited to see him, get him on campus and watch him grow.
Yeah, for sure. And another guy there in the defensive backfield that's already sent in his letter is in-state kid Traquan Fagans. Another kid, long, athletic. Uh, a couple years ago, didn't post the best 40 time in the 4.7 range, which isn't the fastest for a defensive back. But Jack, I think he plays faster than that. I think his
Mhm.
game speed is better than that. So I really like this kid because of his upside. I think he has tremendous upside with that great length and athleticism.
Yeah, he's gonna be another one to watch. He, like I said, he does play a little bit faster on the field. His awareness is really great, and I believe he's gonna make an impact when his time's called. So be looking for him in a couple years, and he's gonna be really good one. I do believe.
Let's look here. Remaining, let's just stick with the defensive side of the ball while we're there. A defensive lineman that's already sent in his letter of intent is Isaiah Hastings.
Hmm.
Uh, he is a Canadian, I believe, originally.
Hmm.
So uh, we've been going there for, of course, Mechie's from all over the world, but uh,
Yeah.
but of course, basketball they've had some success with some Canadian players. So now the football team looks to be going uh, that way. But he's a really good player. Another project, so to speak. So uh, I just I like this class, Jake, because there's so many. If you think about this team right now for Alabama, there's a lot of young guys that are going to be back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and and like our two best players are going to be back next year.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
then maybe some positions that you're looking at is maybe trying to replace Jamison Williams. Uh, maybe John Mechie goes.
Hmm.
But the class we brought in last year is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Uh, we still have Trayshawn Holden, Ja'Cory Brooks, JoJo Earl, Ajay Hall if he can keep his act together.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talent there. And then you look at this class that they're going to bring in, this group. They're all kind of smaller guys, 5'10", 180, but
Hmm.
super athletic. My favorite of the bunch is Kobe Prentice, Jake. I think
Yeah.
he is one of the most electrifying players in this class, and I'm super excited about him. An in-state kid who really shot up the rankings thanks to his great senior season. So he is a guy that I'm excited about. But if you look, like we mentioned, there's a few guys that are going to be back along the offensive line. Bryce Young is back. We have plenty of experience coming back in the backfield, even with losing Brian Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, tight end situation is kind of up in the air, but we got three great tight end signees in Elijah Brown, Amari Nablack, and Jaleel Skinner, all fantastic football players. Of course, Robbie Oots is a freshman who was playing some this year up until he got injured, and he will be out for the remainder of the season. But a lot of talent at those positions. So I look at this class, Jake, and I'm not seeing, and maybe I'm missing somebody just off the top of my head as we did this live, but I'm not seeing a position where we're like, yeah, we got to have a freshman come in and make an instant impact.
No, I don't say that either. I mean, this is supposedly a down year for Alabama. I mean, because we're so young,
Right,
and
right.
and so next year is when we're going to be supposed to be making our push, but we're doing it this year as well with the emergence of Will Anderson and Bryce Young, of course. But there's a lot of young talent at key positions, as you said, and a lot of them stepped up this year. Like JoJo Earl has stepped up before he got injured.
Yep.
Dallas Turner,
Yep.
even Drew Sanders. I mean, there's guys. Kool-Aid McKinstry, he stepped up when he got called. So there's a lot of young talent, still on the roster, but there's a lot coming in, and it's great to see. This team, like we said, don't rebuild, it reloads, and there's a lot of players that want to make an immediate impact, and they're gonna get the opportunity. So that's all you got to have is an opportunity.
Yeah, let's while we're kind of on this subject about how young the team is and how this was kind of supposed to be a rebuilding year, and
Hmm.
here we are back in the playoff. Let's
Yeah,
just start defensively, Jake. Along the defensive line, we'll lose Fedarian Mathis,
right.
LeBron Ray.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that's
Byron
that.
Young's a junior, ain't he?
Byron Young's a junior.
Yeah.
Justin
Her boy was a
Boygby's a
junior.
junior.
Hmm.
Tim Smith is a sophomore. Jamil Burrows
Yeah,
is a sophomore.
yeah,
Um, so there's really one or two guys that are just big time. And Mathis is really the only impact player along the defensive line that we're going to lose.
right.
Then you look at linebacker, Jake, on the edge. Dallas Turner's back.
Yep.
Drew Sanders is back. Of course, Will Anderson is back. Chris Braswell is back.
Yeah.
So Keanu Coate, who's a freshman this year, who hasn't played, who's got a great future, will obviously be back.
Hmm.
Then you go to the inside, probably up in the air on your inside linebackers. But I would say if one or both of those go, Jalen Moody, even though he's a senior, has the opportunity to come back because of the COVID year.
Right.
So he could be back.
Hmm.
So inside linebacker is one of those positions, but we have our guy there. As far as true freshmen go, or as far as this 2022 class go, and Sean Murphy, Jake, who is an
Right.
elite football player. But you got to
Yeah.
remember Deontay Lawson,
Hmm.
great football player. I think he is the next All American linebacker for Alabama on the inside.
Yep.
We still have Shane Lee on campus, Jake.
Yeah.
We still have Demoy Kennedy. So there's guys there that are going to be able to pick up the pieces if both Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris move on to the NFL. Then you go to the back end of the defense. I think worst case scenario, we lose Jordan Battle, Josh Jobe, and Jalen Armour Davis. I think
Hmm.
that's worst
Yeah.
case scenario. And
Yeah.
and it would surprise me if all three are gone. I think Job needs to go. I think he is what he is. He's probably going to be a day two big pick just because of his athleticism. I mean, he's 6'1", 190. He's probably going to run a 4.4. He plays the run really physical. Sure, he doesn't play the ball great, but Jake, NFL teams are going to fall in love with how he tests at the combine.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be a day two pick. Jalen Armour Davis was a shutdown corner for Alabama this year who did not receive any love. He could be a day two pick as well.
Hmm.
Jordan Battle has climbed up the draft boards
Yeah.
this season, especially over how he played the last 6 games of the year. Jake, he's as good as a safety as there is in college football. Um, so I expect him to be. He could sneak his way, depending on how he tests. He could sneak his way into the first round because
Yeah.
I seen a interview with him and Henry To'oTo'o side by side. Jake, he makes Henry To'oTo'o look small, and they list To'oTo'o at 6'2", 225.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know how big Jordan Battle is. They list him at like 6'1", 210. He looks every bit of 6'2" or 6'3",
Hmm.
and maybe about 225 because that dude is solid. Depending on what he runs in the 40-yard dash, he could be a day one pick, but he's a day two pick at worst. So I think all three of those guys are gone. And you're
Yeah,
like, oh God, what are we going to do? Well, Kool-Aid has played.
yep.
Kyrie Jackson's probably going to play this throughout the playoff.
Hmm.
We still have Malachi Moore in the back end. Uh, Brian
Brian Branch.
Branch,
Hmm.
DeMarco Hellens will be back. We have guys like Terry Arnold, who's a true freshman 5-star, who hasn't played much this year simply because we haven't needed him.
Hmm.
And he's also been working at safety and corner, so he's learning multiple positions for this Alabama defense. But he is an elite talent who I think most Alabama fans are going to be really excited about once he starts to see the field.
Is Daniel Ryder Jr.? Is he a senior?
He's a 12th year senior.
Yeah. I was going to say I didn't know if he'd be back, but I mean he has played a lot better here in the last couple of games, so he may be a sixth, seventh round pick. So it seems like our secondary coming into the year is probably we thought would be our strong point. This coming up year, there's still a lot of talent there. It may be the weak point, and not weak, but it's going to be a lot of new faces
Well,
there.
and we talk about this all the time. How and I see that Bama Fanatic has put in the chat, "Roll Tide,
Roll
roll." Yeah,
Tide.
roll Tide, buddy. Appreciate you watching. We talk about weak points on the team, and it's not from lack of talent,
Right.
especially in the back end of the defense. Jack, when the back end of the defense communicates well,
Oh man,
they are really good,
they
really
are.
good. I mean,
We've
so
seen that.
yeah, we've seen it off and on all year long. So
Hmm.
uh, I, I really like the makeup of this team, and uh, I think I think we just got to keep in mind that these are still 17, 18-year-old kids making these decisions.
Right.
The transfer portal is going to be wide open.
Yeah.
But you're not going to hear anything from the transfer portal until the signing day is over,
Right.
because you don't want to. Let's just use Earl Little Jr. for example. I think he's going to be pretty. I think he announces today at 3:00. I'm pretty confident it's going to be Alabama. But
Yeah.
you don't want to say Eli Ricks announces today on Twitter that he's going to come to Alabama. That that's going to make our little junior think, God, when am I going to get to play? They
Yeah.
already got Kool-Aid, Kyrie, Terran Arnold. When
Hmm.
am I going to get to play? Now they're adding Eli Ricks. That's going to be a starter. When am I going to get to play? So you don't want to make those type of announcements until after signing day.
Right.
If you think about it, common sense wise.
And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about the coaches who are going after these guys. And there was one rumor that I forgot who it was that told Rich, we're not interested in you. But like you just said, I mean, we're interested in him, but you don't tell make him commit to Alabama until after Sunday, like you said. So you might be able to grab like Earl Little Jr. and maybe guys like that. You don't want to push them away. So after, like you said, after signing day, you'll see the transfer portal start getting picked up and picked out of a little bit
Yeah.
more than what it is here lately. I know half of Oklahoma's team's still in there. I think so. There's a lot of talent on the Oklahoma side that is gone. So there's still a lot of talent in that transfer portal.
Yeah. Just looking at some of these announcements coming up today, I think some of the ones that Alabama fans will be most excited about is Shaz Preston,
Hmm.
Earl Little Jr., Jihad Campbell is a guy to watch. Shamar James, he's an in-state kid, announces at 5 today, but I'll just be honest with you, it feels like Georgia right now.
Yeah,
So just kind of wait and see on that. I mean, it ain't over until that ink's dry. So
that's right. And we have seen in the past where they do these national events and the national letter of intent never gets sent in, and a week later they change their commitment and sign a letter of intent to a different school. So
yep,
I mean anything can happen. I mean, you may have somebody commit to a team, and then a week later they say, "No, I never sent my letter of intent in and signed to a different school." This, like I said, this is what makes National Signing Day so fun.
Yeah, and then there's another signing day in February, so
Right,
there's plenty of time for if they don't send in that letter of intent, there's plenty of time to sway a recruit. So
right.
just keep that in mind today as well.
And I want to get your opinion because you'll know more about it, and I want to learn more about it and get your thoughts on it. But if you look at 247 or Rivals or whatever, you have Alabama is like 2-3, just depending on which website you look at. But the commitment average, I guess they call it, Alabama's
Mhm.
leading that, I think, by at least 2 points. It may jumped up a little bit since we got Perry. But my question is, if the overall commitment is higher, then why isn't Alabama at that top spot? How do they go about ranking that and the averages? What does that mean
Well, I
per se?
think each of those publications do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But there's a total, obviously a total ranking thing that like the two force. What I like to look at, and On Three is doing this as well. It's like a composite rankings of all the different services, recruiting services,
Okay.
and so that's what I like to look at because it kind of gives you the best average. But there's also a total points that gets added up for so like you mentioned, like right now Alabama's average rating is 0.9494, which
Hmm.
is extremely high. Last year, which was the top class, finished at 9499, so they're right there on par with the average from last year. So
Hmm.
uh, just looking at some of these guys that have I got to watch today. We talked about off the air, Jaheim Otis, the
Yeah.
the massive
Dude.
defensive line prospect from Mississippi. 6'4", 6'5", 360 to 380, depending on
God.
what time of day it is. Uh,
Wow.
but a really athletically gifted player, Jake. I hope Alabama can hold on to him. Ole
Yeah.
Miss is making a massive late push, so going to be anxious to see how that plays out here.
And I saw talking about Otis. I seen people compare him to Terrence Cody, but the difference to me is Otis, like you said, is more athletic. I mean, I watched film on him. That dude can. I mean, the snap of the ball, he's already in the backfield. I mean, he has a quick first step, and with a guy that size, I mean, he's ungodly. It's crazy on how gifted he is. So I hope Alabama can hang on to him. And I like you said, Ole Miss. I've been saying they've been making a late push. I think he was on their campus either last weekend or the weekend before, but he also has been to Alabama here lately. So I'm hoping our guys can hold on to him because he'd be another big pickup. When is he announced? I didn't see it. His announcement time.
I'm not sure. I will start to look here.
Yeah, I didn't see it earlier. I wasn't sure when he was planning. But
We'll look at that here. See if I
yeah,
can bring it up.
I keep refreshing everything just to make sure there's nothing that's been.
I don't see a time, Jake. Um,
Hmm.
but he is signing today with
Okay.
somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a time either, but the I think the next one for Bama is that potentially is Shash Preston at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got, like you said, we have a few others later on the day. Don't know if we'll be here by that time. That'd be like a 4 or 5 hour show. I think we'll both get dry mouth before that, before we can go a 4 or 5 hour show. But it any of these guys, like we said, has a potential to step up and make an impact early on. Just because like you said, injuries happen, and you can't keep injuries from happening. So it you got to take that into consideration when you're signing.
Hey,
Hmm.
Travis Hunter's NIL deal with Barstool Sports is to be worth $1.5 million.
Good night. Daggum. I figured there had to be some money somewhere because I didn't think Jackson State had that kind of money to pull him. That's insane. Everybody's talking about, how Bryce Young had $1 million NIL deal before he stepped on the field. Well, Travis Hunter's got 1.5 million before he steps on the field.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Jake, I know you've had a chance to watch some of these prospects.
Hmm.
Um, who would you say you're kind of most excited about? That's probably coming to Alabama in this class.
I'll give you a couple. The first one we talked about, Kobe Prentice. We already talked about him, but I mean, that dude is he to me he could be the next, you know, Devontae Smith top player for us. I mean, he has that kind of talent, and he is quick off the ball. He's got speed. And that's great. When you can't coach speed. If a guy's gifted with it, then you're going to be solid. Another guy, tight end, Elijah Brown. He looks really really good. I've seen a little bit of him. He's a big guy, and from the film I saw, if the ball is thrown near him, he's going to catch it. He's got really good hands, and we have really talented tight ends there now, but issues have been drops for this team this year at tight end. So he could come in, and if his name is called, he's going to make a big play, I believe. In the
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry to cut you off.
Mhm.
Otis is actually already sending his is what I'm reading here that he
To
is already
Alabama,
sending. Yeah,
nice. That's huge to keep him. To keep, like I said, Ole Miss made a strong push there at the end.
this is according to Touchdown Alabama magazine. So
Okay. Um,
if somebody's telling a lie, it's them, not me.
right. Yeah. Uh, Talking about defense, a guy that we also talked about, but Sean Murphy, man, you talk about. I mean, that kid is everywhere. Talking about being a ball hawk, he was everywhere in the film that I saw, and he has another burst of speed, off the snap. And God, man, he looks like he's going to be a great linebacker for us in a couple of years. So there's a lot of great talent, like we said. We keep saying it, but I mean, what else can you say? There's a lot of great talent coming in. I mean,
Right.
that's all you can say. And if these guys work out, they're going to get on the field.
For sure, for sure, for sure.
Boy, keeping Otis is huge, I think, if it's
Yeah,
true.
if for those in the chat, um, let us know if you've seen a
Let's
hmm.
see. I mean, 247 Sports still has him committed to Alabama. I don't see anything about signing a LOI.
That's
So
what's weird to me. I'm
yeah,
TDA is the only one that I'm seeing that's reported that.
right. And within the last about 4 months, he's been actually the last about 5 6 months, he's been on campus at Ole Miss 3 times.
Yeah,
So so he they was making a late push for him. So if we was able to snag him, they said that he had 68 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks in 2020. And I agree with this. That he needs to keep his body weight and conditioning in check going forward, which I
yeah,
believe he can handle. Especially at Alabama and that program that they have with Matt Rhea and David Ballou. So
yeah. This is hmm.
well, I hope the guys at Touchdown Alabama is correct.
Yeah. Anybody in the chat, if y'all have seen a confirmation either way on
Yeah,
Otis, just
because
don't hesitate to put that in there. Like, I mean, the chat is open for any questions, comments, concerns. Uh, we just wanted to do this signing day special to kind of talk about all these prospects and we're just excited about this class, and it's a lot of fun to talk about Alabama football.
Yeah. And it says, I see where you saw that at. It said that he signed it last night, or
Yeah, that's
yeah, or
I'm
yeah. No, well, it says Wednesday. He signed him
it
to,
said 4 hours ago is what it said
yeah.
today, but
But I figured that would have been, that would have been breaking news. I mean, what was he? He's a 4 or 5 star guy.
he's a 4 star. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. That's just kind of weird that it went under the radar.
it hasn't been announced by Alabama yet, but
No.
I don't know how many they've received. So,
Right. Let me get on Twitter and check.
well, I just looked at there. He hasn't been announced there yet,
Okay.
but they
Okay.
but they haven't announced all of them.
Okay. Yeah, there's so many coming in that it's kind of hard to get them all at one time. Uh, and we want to make a comment. A guy who was committed to us, I believe, has decommitted and has committed flipped to Auburn. That's Robert Woodyard. Is that correct, Stacey?
Yeah, Robert
Yeah.
Woodyard. That was no surprise.
Hmm.
Alabama staff kind of slowed down on his recruiting process. He was injured this past season, so Alabama kind of slowed down. I think they felt good with who they had in Sean Murphy, and maybe working on a couple other guys, or are excited about the players they already have on campus, like we mentioned earlier, Deontay Lawson, N. Jackson, Demoy Kennedy. So I think the staff kind of held the reins a little bit on him, and he flipped to Auburn, which was no surprise.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, like I said, we got Sean Murphy coming in. We're loaded there at linebacker anyway. And we may have set our sights on a few other different guys, especially with Woodyard having it looks like he's got some kind of injury bug. So you know we don't need any guys coming in that's injury bug related, because we've had plenty of injuries the last couple of years on our staff that ain't key positions, but we have the guys step up behind them. So
Yeah.
um, just a notable name coming up here at one. I don't think it's any ties related to Alabama. Was that Nalik Kelly?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
he's a 4 star uh, defensive lineman. Derek Moore is coming up, and then at 2, like we said, we have Shaz Preston, who would probably be the next Alabama guy to go.
Yeah, and we're going to do our best to hold on until that announcement.
Yeah,
That'd put us going live for about 2 hours. I'm not sure how much longer I could go past that. I haven't even had lunch yet.
yeah, I hadn't either.
So
um, yeah, I was
us fat
thinking.
boys got to eat too.
Yeah, I was like, I want to eat before I got home, but then I'd be like, you know, I was afraid I might have food all over my mustache and all that. I was like, all right, we could picking it out, but yeah, um, we just wanted to come live today for early signing day period, and a lot that if it could have worked out, schedules and stuff, we would have been on earlier for all the early signings. Alabama didn't Emmanuel Henderson, didn't he also sign his letter of intent as well
Yeah,
early?
there's let's see. Let me get back to my list here.
And while you're pulling that up, you're talking about next year's squad, talking about the running back room. I mean, we have Roydell and McClellan coming back. Trey Sanders will be back, and Kamara Wheaton hadn't even seen the field because of his injury. Now you're bringing in Emmanuel Henderson. I mean, my
We
gracious.
got 2 commitments, and
Yeah.
they've both signed already. Emmanuel Henderson,
Hmm.
who is depending on who you look at, either the top or second ranked back in the country.
Hmm.
Then you look at Jamarian Miller
Yeah.
from Texas, I believe. He's maybe the 5th, 6th, or 7th ranked back in the country. So 2 solid guys there. And then another guy, like I mentioned, from the transfer portal, Jahmyr Gibbs from Georgia Tech, who was
Yes.
a second team AP All-American as an all-purpose player. I want to say he had around 700 yards rushing for Georgia Tech this past season. and around 500 yards receiving. So a guy that can play, in space and make plays in different ways. He's a guy who I'm being told will transfer to Alabama.
Yeah, that would be a big pickup. Do you foresee any of these guys making a position change since they're so loaded at several different positions?
Not really, because
Hmm.
now I'll say this: Emmanuel Henderson, he's got that athleticism and that frame to be like a safety or defensive back.
Hmm.
So that could be an option, but he's also a playmaker with the ball in his hands. So
Right.
I think just kind of wait and see there. But I mean, we've seen what a lack of depth at running back can mean for your team just this season. I mean, you never
Oh
know
yeah.
how many guys you're going to have injured. So
Yeah.
I don't foresee it. Maybe Henderson gets that opportunity. We'll just kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah. Alabama has been riddled with injury at the running back position. So even before the season started with Wheaton, so you know
Yeah.
we would have probably seen him this year, with the injuries. But looking forward to next year, do you think Trey Sanders will probably be the number one back, or you think McClellan or Roydell will be? I think all three will probably see a lot of action, and then one of the other guys may step up as well to see some.
It's really tough to say, Jake,
I know.
because they all kind of bring something a little different to the table.
Hmm.
But uh, and the truth is, we've yet to see Trey Sanders
Yeah.
at 100%. So I'm anxious to see that. I think this time off between the SEC championship game and the playoff is going to be huge for Trey Sanders. So I think
Hmm.
in the playoff we could see him be a different top player than what we've seen this season. He's been really solid all year long, but I think he could be a difference maker for this team in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's been playing about 80, 85%,
Yeah.
healthy, it seems like. And not only for him, but, Brian Robinson Jr., he's been getting the load this year, and he's been kind of banged up. But he's still pushing through it. So this time off is letting a lot of guys heal up that's been banged up. There were some rumors about Malachi Moore being banged up a little bit. So maybe we might see him come in the playoff. Who knows? But he's been kind of missing in action here past couple of games. Um, but this off time, is great to get some guys healthy. Good time for Christmas. Get to see your family and enjoy some time with them. But once Christmas is over with, it's back to to working hard and getting ready for Cincinnati.
Yep. Um, while we're kind of in a lull here between announcements, Bryce Young did win the Heisman Trophy, Jake.
Absolutely.
What an amazing accomplishment! I mean, just crazy. Just first Alabama quarterback ever, 4 Heisman winners in the last 12 years or so
Hmm.
from 3 different positions. Just it's insane, man. It's crazy what Nick Saban's been able to accomplish, and what a way for Alabama to be represented. I mean, Bryce Young is just a phenomenal human being. You can tell that dude is a genuinely a good dude. So
Yeah.
really, really happy for him. Well deserved, most deserving player in the country to win the award outside of Will Anderson. So how Aiden Hutchinson was there as a finalist over Will Anderson is the biggest joke of all time. But
Hmm.
that's kind of a rant for another day.
Well, hey, you brought it up, so I'm gonna bring this up. You had Jordan Davis win the Defense Player of the Year, and you had Aiden Hutchinson up as a Heisman finalist. But Will Anderson was up for didn't win either or, and he had better stats than both of them guys, so by far. So it's just kind of weird how that played out. But going back to Bryce, you're talking about a guy. You was talking about Jay Pope earlier, who loves football. Bryce Young loves football, and you know I still go back to the 4th and 7 play. With like 40 seconds left in the Auburn game, he just grinned and he smiled and he knew that he's like, well, I'm fixing to have Billingsley open in the middle, and he's going to catch and get a first down, and the rest is history. I mean, he's just a smart kid, and his development has gotten a lot better as the season's going on. The first like 4 games, he didn't use his legs whatsoever. He wanted to throw the ball downfield. Now he's using his legs a whole lot more, and I
Yeah.
mean he once he gets in an open space, I mean this little flits out to a running back. He's done it with Leary, and he's also done it. Brian Robinson. I mean, it's just amazing how he has the know it all to know that somebody's out there, and he just pitches out to him real quick when he's got somebody coming after him. It's amazing.
Yeah. Another guy, Jake, going back to the recruiting front, that
Hmm.
that is kind of a weird situation, but I think could be some good news for Alabama is defensive back Denver Harris. He's a 5-star cornerback. Alabama led for him forever up until a couple weeks ago when they kind of relaxed on his recruitment because they started going after Damani Jackson more.
Hmm.
And the good thing about Harris is that he's not making a decision until February, I believe.
Yeah.
So if Alabama can get back on track with him,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic news for this class.
Absolutely. A lot of people was worried about the defensive back class, especially at corners, because we really only got one commit right now. But there's still a chance we can get Harris. There's still a chance we're in there for Damani Jackson. But again, say was in control of everything. And if he wants these guys, I'm sure he's gonna be able to pull whoever he wants to
Yeah,
come to
and and,
Alabama.
and don't forget, we're most likely going to sign Earl Little Jr. here in a
Right.
couple hours when he signs at 3 p.m. So uh, I think, and when we say times, we're talking Central, so that's 3 p.m. Central or 4 Eastern. So uh, I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. It's
All right, let me
um,
ask you. Let me ask you this:
Go ahead.
who is a guy that we don't feel like we're going to sign that you wish that we would sign?
Mm, there's a lot of guys out there. You know, one would one would be Jackson because I've seen some film on him. He looks really really
Yeah,
good,
he's
but
elite. He's elite.
he is. But if we miss on him, it's not the end of the world. But he is somebody, especially you know, uh, that had the potential, that could have the potential to be like Kool Aid, come in and make an impact early on. But I'm happy with the class we got so far, and we still got several guys out there that we could sign. Um, Marvin Jones Jr. might be another one that we might lose to Georgia. Um, you know, he looks like he could be the next Will Anderson to me if he's in Alabama system. So, you know, Will's going to be gone, next year. So we're going to find somebody to step up, and he fit the bill to me. But there's still a chance we still get him. So who knows? There's still a lot to be played out. No. So
Yeah,
what about you?
I think and it hasn't been announced yet, but the feeling as of late for Shamar James is
Hmm.
Georgia. I really like Shamar James. I
Yeah.
really do. I hope that Alabama can pull a miracle off here and sign Shamar. Uh, but I think he's a guy who in a couple of years could be a great inside linebacker.
Yeah. Here's another good one. Um,
And you talked about Marvin Jones Jr.
hmm.
Uh, Jahad Campbell, same position,
Yeah.
uh, eerily similar players, but
Hmm.
it's really up in the air with Jahad too. There's a few schools that he could pick.
Right. So there's a chance we could lose both. There's a chance we could get both. So a lot to be played out by the end of the day. Nothing is set in stone about Jaheim Otis. There's that one article saying that he has signed his letter of intent, but if something does happen and that comes out not to be true, and he does commit to Ole Miss, that's another guy I'd hate to lose because I mean I mean, that kid, he's gonna be tough to block if he ain't on your team in the next 4 years.
You ain't kidding.
I mean,
Um,
and on Otis, on one of his films, they were double teaming him, and he still snuck through the double team. So, and I know these high school kids are not, you know, some of them are 5-star talented, tackles and guards and stuff. I don't know exactly the teams that he was playing if they had any, but still being able to get through a double team is huge.
yep. Oh, we haven't talked about our quarterback commitment,
Yeah,
Simpson yet. Um, what I like most about him, Jake, is he's a football guy. I mean, he's kind of
yeah,
like Mac Jones in that aspect of his game. You know, his dad's a college coach, so he's been around football his whole life. He understands the game of football.
yeah.
Uh, he's not the biggest guy, maybe 6'1", 6'2", but a guy that knows how to play football, and you know that football is going to be his priority when he gets there.
Absolutely. You talking about his size. Bryce Young is kind of small in stature, and look what he's done. He's already won a Heisman. So talking about quarterback or talking about room, the quarterback room is kind of getting full now as well because you're still gonna have Bryce next year, and then it's open competition. I mean, we both love Jalen Milrow, but you know he could be the next guy in line. But Todd Simpson is gonna give him fits.
Well, here's
To
the thing,
start.
Jake. The way I feel about it, I think Simpson's a guy who's gonna wait around like Mac Jones
I do too.
and maybe not get his shot until he is a redshirt sophomore or a redshirt junior.
Yeah.
And I think he can be dangerous come that time because he is athletic, he's
Hmm.
accurate with the football, he has a better arm than what people think.
Hmm.
It's eerily similar to Mac Jones, but
Yeah.
he obviously is a more highly rated recruit than what Mac was. So
Hmm.
uh, I think what's great, you talked about the quarterback room. Have Bryce for another year, so he gets to sit an entire season
Hmm.
behind Bryce Young, learn from the Heisman Trophy winner, learn from a guy who led his team to the playoff and will most likely lead his team to another playoff berth next year, unless something crazy happens.
Hmm.
Then, like you mentioned, we have a guy like Jalen Milrow who has got to play some this year.
Hmm.
Uh, Milrow will be a sophomore next year.
Yeah.
So Milrow he'll be a true junior by the time he gets to start if
Yeah.
he beats out Ty Simpson. So
Hmm.
at most we're going to get 2 years of Jalen Milrow as the starter at most.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
who knows if Milrow is elite that one junior season, he could be like Mac Jones and he's gone.
Right. And what was so great talking about Matt Jones? He played his heart out that one season he had, and it showed out. And I know I think there's three quarterbacks that went ahead of him, but he is, and it's a fit. It was a great fit to start out with Matt. Matt going to New England because it's kind of run like an Alabama type team with Bill Belichick. But I mean, he if he does not win the Rookie of the Year, him or Najee Harris, that's a travesty. I think Matt's leading that right now.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
Man,
I'm going to say this about Mac, and we talked about it, I believe, leading up to the draft, Jake. But there's one thing that Mac had over every one of those other prospects, even Trevor Lawrence. He is deadly accurate with the football, Jake, and that is
yeah,
something you cannot coach.
no,
That's something that you really can't improve anybody on. You
nope,
are either accurate or not.
right,
He is the most consistently accurate quarterback in that class.
yeah,
So
absolutely,
I know everybody falls in love with Trevor Lawrence because he's 6'6" and can run fast and has a big time arm. Everybody loves Trey Lance because he was just a playmaker.
hmm
Everybody loved Justin Fields because he's a big guy who can throw the football, who's athletic. But Jake, what's the most important thing a quarterback can do?
throw the ball accurately.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've never understood all these guys, all these draft experts that get so excited about the other things that quarterbacks do, like run well, when the most important job that he's going to do in the NFL is throw accurate passes because the windows are this tight.
Right.
So there was not a better accurate, a more accurate thrower in last year's class than Mac Jones.
Absolutely. And he was deadly accurate with his deep ball. His short pass was is very accurate as well. And and talking about accuracy, I'm gonna go back to Bryce Young. His accuracy has gotten a lot better deep ball wise as the years gone on too. He was kind of missing some guys pretty bad beginning of the year, but now he's got it honed in, and he's going to be a what's funny. We talked about this before, but Alabama could have the number one pick and the number two pick in next
Yeah.
year's draft.
Yeah.
I mean, and either one of them can go either or. I mean, you could pick Matt first and pick Williamson first. That's just
Yeah.
my personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, we keep saying next year's draft. It's
Well,
really the draft in 2023.
right? Yeah.
Not 2022.
Right.
But I think people watching understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're less than an hour away from
Yeah.
Shaz Preston's decision, the great wide receiver prospect from Louisiana. So excited to see how that plays out. A lot to talk about still here on our signing day special. So make sure that you are still tuning in. We're going to be live up until Shaz officially announces where he's going to be playing college football. So make sure you are tuned in for that. Real quick, if you're not subscribed to our channel already, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. Jump in the chat. It is open. We'll be more than happy to talk with you there and interact with you there. So make sure you do jump in the chat. So, but real quick, Jake and myself, we're going to take a quick timeout. Bathroom break time. We've been going for over an hour. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I am back. Appreciate y'all hanging in there while we took a quick break. As we wait on Jake, just want to thank everybody that's been watching. Really appreciate that. Hope you're subscribed to the channel already. If you're not, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out when you do that. We've been on a brief pause from the podcast platform because we are moving from the Believe Podcast Network, going back on our own. But we're going to be kind of working hand in hand with the Y'all's Conference Network. So we're glad to be partnering with them on that. But we're going to be an independent podcast again as we move away from Believe. But so our podcast RSS feed has not been live for the last couple weeks. We hope to have that back maybe this week or next week. And as soon as we do, we'll let y'all know. But like we mentioned, we've had a brief pause from the podcast form. That's why you need to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the content that we have here at the Tide Talk Podcast. Um, so we hope to have the podcast back going, or the podcast form back going, here over the next week or two. Most likely by the beginning of the new year, we'll be good to go there. So we certainly appreciate that. Um, and like I mentioned, if you haven't already, make sure you do hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Jump in the comment section. The chat is open right now as far as the live chat. So jump in there if you're watching. Let us know your thoughts on this class, who you're excited about, who you wish we could sign but haven't signed. I guess your wish list is how I could put it. But we're excited about this class. We've been talking about it for well over an hour now. And we're going to be here with you for another hour or so. And we're just excited to be doing this. Hopefully next year we'll kind of have a better production of this. Hopefully we each can get off again from work for the entire day and kind of have a big production for the early signing period. So, but we do appreciate those who have been tuning in this entire broadcast. We're excited to be doing this. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody watching. Jake, now that you are back, it looks like you've got you a snack. I don't blame you. My stomach is over here growling, um, but I'm going to weather through it. I'm gonna be a trooper. I did go away from the water. Got me. They're not. We the official sponsor of the Tide Talk podcast, Dr. Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully one day that'd be great. I got one of those.
I got my moonshine. No, I'm just kidding. This is water.
but no, we're glad to be here, guys. Appreciate y'all watching. Um, Jake, I was letting everybody know that we haven't been on podcast platform, and what that reason has been. We're going back to being independent podcasters away from the podcast network for no reason other than just wanting to be out on our own again. Believe was great to us. No complaints there. Just wanted to get back on our own because there were certain limitations as far as what Believe did with us. But we had a great time with Believe. They're great people to work with. So,
Yes.
I told them that we're going to be working hand in hand with the Y'all's Conference Network. With Stephen Willis, Corey Burton, all those guys over there. So, uh, of course, Jake already does a show with those guys. And hopefully you might be seeing Jake and myself on another show for the Y'all's Conference Network coming up. So just stay
Yeah.
tuned for that.
Yeah. You know, back, I think it was right before football season. Steven, I did a preview show on Steven's podcast. It was the Palmcast, as he called
Mm-hmm.
it. Previewing the Alabama team for the year. And then a few days later, he approached me about doing a show on his network, and I did that. And then I got in on the SEC at the Dark, which he produces with Corey and Jeb, and then I got added into that lineup. And
Yeah.
then us four, those guys, we decided to create our own uh, conference network, and that's the Golf's Conference Network. And we have been echoing. As if you follow us here on YouTube, you see all the different streams of different people. The Believe in the Georgia Dogs, the DGD podcast. There's several others. Of course, SEC at the Dark is always on there as well, and that's what we're doing in that network. We're all echoing each other, and it's helped driving new people to all these platforms and all these other podcasts, and it's great. So we're
Right.
excited to be a part of it. We're going to be starting that in the new year, and just a good time for not only us at the Y'all's conference, but Tide Talk as well, man. You
Yeah.
know, we've been doing this. Gosh, was it? We're coming up on year 4 now. I think August
I
will be the
think
fourth
so. I
August will be
think so.
4 years, and you can still listen to our old stuff, I believe,
Yeah.
like on and I mean I still can't talk good, but that very first episode, me and Stacey go back and I mean we were scared to death,
If
doing it.
y'all want to laugh, if y'all want to
Yeah,
laugh, guys, go back and listen to our pilot episode.
yes.
Um,
I mean, I've had some corny stuff. I called, and I ought to be crucified for this, but I called Montana Fouts, our queen. I hiccuped up and called her Hannah Montana accidentally, and I about got crucified. But and I well deserved it. But I don't know why Hannah Montana was on my mind. I've not watched that show since I was like 10, so and I'm 30 now, so I don't know what the crap happened, but it just a Floridian slip as they called it, and but two country boys doing this, I never
yeah.
thought it would be as
Well,
big as we are, and it's great. We're happy to be here.
yeah. This has really exceeded both of our expectations when we first started this. We and we still do it for this reason. But the reason we started it was just because we love talking about Alabama football, and
Hmm.
that's still the main reason. But a reason that we've continued to do it is because of the success of the show
Hmm.
and how much fun it is to interact with all the fans of the show. And if we could put into words how much we appreciate each of you guys, I wish I could do that, but I can't do that. But we greatly appreciate everybody that tunes into us and makes us a part of their day. And it just really means a lot. And it's afforded each of us different opportunities. Like Jake mentioned, he's been afforded the opportunity to work with Steven there on the Y'all's Conference Network with, SEC After Dark and Best of the West,
Hmm.
um, and it's afforded me opportunities outside of podcasting. And I write now for Roll Tide Wire, which is a part of the USA Today network. So
Yeah.
just it's afforded us great opportunities. And who would have thought that it would have gotten to this point, just a couple years ago when we, like Jake mentioned, just a couple country boys from North Alabama started an Alabama podcast. But here we are, and it's really mostly because of you guys. And
Yeah.
we really appreciate everybody that makes Tide Talk podcast a part of their life.
Yeah, and we started out talking about Alabama football because that is king around here, and we both love our Crimson Tide football. But we also talk about the other sports as well. I mean, we talk about the basketball team and their success under Nate Oates. I know they kind of struggled last night, but I kind of seen that forthcoming just because. But I mean, we had a 3 game stretch there where we play Gonzaga and Houston, two top four or Final Four participants, and
Yeah,
Alabama beat both of them. So, I mean, if you're upset about this Memphis loss, don't be because the team's fine,
yeah,
and Nate Oates is a great coach, and he's going to get them on the right track leading up into the SEC play. Really excited about that. We're going to have a lot of episodes coming up about that. But like I said, football is king around here, and that's what we mainly talk about. But we touch on the baseball team. Brad Bohannon has done an amazing job with that group. Patrick Murphy still leading the softball team, and they're always in the College World Series. It seems like or fighting for it. So we always say it's a great time to be a Bama fan, and it's true. But we love talking about all Alabama sports. So and that's what drives us. I don't know if we could have started a podcast back in the mock years because I don't know I'd have been miserable, and I don't know it wouldn't be that much fun to talk about. But
Was there even such thing as podcast then?
I probably not. I mean, I guess we're showing our age a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, we got into a good network now. Leave was an amazing. They're great as well, but we felt like just because I was already a part of it, and the
Yeah.
trends and they're on the up and up. Y'all's conference is, so it was a good time to jump on board. And those guys, Steven, Corey, all the guys over there have been responded well to it. So we're very excited about it.
Yeah, they're great dudes.
Hmm. Corey loves
Uh,
his Bulldogs, and Steven loves his Ole Miss. Well, they're not Rebels anymore; the Land Sharks. So
That's so weird.
I know I don't
I
political
think there's I,
correctness.
I think they're still the rebels. I just don't think they can have the mascot of a rebel.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, which is weird. I don't know why.
Anyway,
Yeah, we could talk all day about that.
yeah. Hey, guys, if you're watching now, we still show to have several people watching.
Thank
First
you.
of all, uh, my dog is apparently it's potty break time for him, so I'm going to let him out and let Jake take over for just a few minutes while I do that, and he'll guide the show for the next couple minutes.
Oh boy. um, Appreciate all you guys joining us. We're really excited to be doing this today. But yeah, so far Alabama's got a lot of good recruits committed and have signed their letter of intent. Hearing about roughly about 40 minutes or so, 40, 45, Shaz Preston been the next guy up. We really feel like he's going to sign with Alabama. Um, but man, it's been a great day so far. And another guy when we talked about him, Sean Murphy looks like he's gonna be a stud. We're still waiting on word on the Jaheim Otis. Um, there's a report out. Excuse me. There's a report out that he has signed his letter of intent to Alabama, but there was only one report on that, so I'm not 100% sure if that is true or not. Um, but Stacey's already back. That was a quick potty break.
Yeah.
Well, you got that
What
big
did you?
fenced in yard, so you can just let him out, let him roam free for a while.
Yep.
He ain't been trying to dig any holes. Has he tried to get out?
No,
Has he?
no,
Okay,
no.
good, good,
He's pretty good dog.
good. I got mine in here with me now. She's just looking up at me like, because she was actually napping when I come in here, so she's probably upset that I woke her up. Now she's wanting me to go back in there. But oh, I shut the door too far. Go ahead, go on out. But yeah, I was just reiterating that we've already had a lot of good signees. We're still on had that one report of Jaheim Otis signing his letter of intent, so we're not 100% sure if that's true or not. Um, but that's pretty much what all I've been seeing. I've not seen anything on besides that one article about Otis, so I'm not 100% sure what the deal is on that. Looks like Malik Kelly, he was supposed to commit here at 1. He still is not committed yet. I don't know what the holdup is on that. Um, but looks like I said, Shaz Preston will be the next guy for us, and then after that, guys, we'll probably wrap up. Um, you know, I'm getting a little dry mouth over here. Got my water to feel me, help a little bit. I try to drink about 2 or 3 of these a day. It's a 30 ounce, so at night I don't get no sleep anymore because I'm up all night. So, but water's really good. I pretty much changed my diet in a little bit. All I do is drink water now and drink black coffee. So I may drink a glass or two of half and half tea at lunch, and that's it. I'm water the rest of the time. So
Just kind of projecting the class rankings. Um,
mhm.
if things go the way they look to be going, Alabama will probably finish at 2 or 3. A&M has a great shot of finishing with the top ranked class. There's a lot of good kids that they're signing for whatever reason. I mean, they went 8-4. I don't know what these guys are seeing there, but people are going to say, well, they beat Alabama. Okay, once in 10 years. Let's just
and and Alabama's in the playoffs. They're not. So I mean, did I saw something this morning? It may have just been, but there was talk about maybe Walter Nolan, their commit could be decommitting and going somewhere. I didn't
yeah,
know if that was true or not.
he's not signing today.
Yeah, that's what it
So
was.
I guess it's still up in the air.
Who was he down to between A&M and who?
Um, Alabama was involved. Tennessee was involved.
I think
L-
Tennessee is where they're leaning.
LSU. Yeah.
Because he's from Tennessee, I think, ain't he?
Yeah. Yeah. He's from Tennessee.
So yeah, that might be something to keep an eye on the next couple of days too. Because if they lose him, their ranking would probably drop a little bit because he was the number one defensive tackle in the
Yeah.
nation, ain't he?
Yeah.
So
A guy that could make a big difference either way is a guy named Anthony Lucas, a defensive lineman from Nevada or Arizona
mhm.
one, Arizona, somewhere out west. Um, he announces at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. So uh, I would say right now it's probably 70-30. He's going to A&M over Alabama. But, I mean, it's hard to – you don't count out Nick Saban until that ink dries. So
Yeah, and he's from Scottsdale, Arizona.
I knew it was one of those places.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty much between Alabama and A&M at this point. I think Notre Dame was on him early, and they've kind of cooled off a little bit. So you know that could be another guy to keep an eye out as a Bama fan. But yeah, I'm not going to count Nick Saban out of anything. I mean, like we mentioned earlier, you seen what happened there. Hey,
Yeah.
there's my wife Cassidy. I
Hey,
took
Cassidy.
off so she can work today. No, I'm just I'm just kidding. She so glad you're here. I bet she's on. Yeah, it's her lunch break. So thank you for joining, Cass. Um, I'm sure you missed a lot of the show because I don't think you got lunch until 1. But glad you jumped on. She texted me earlier and asked what I was doing. I said I'm doing a podcast, so she decided to jump on real quick.
uh,
I don't. I'm trying to. I keep getting notifications galore, but nothing major.
Same here.
Nothing new. Um, Nothing that I'm saying. Nothing breaking.
Right.
Um, let's see.
Saying like right now, after Perry's commitment with Alabama, it moved them to the to on three's consent to number one in on three consensus team rankings.
Hmm.
So A&M
Um,
is second and Georgia is third.
uh, I'm just looking to see if there's been any movement on the crystal ball per se. Um, I got a guy from work calling me.
That's
Give me
fine.
5.
That's fine.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
That's fine. All right. As Jake steps away for a few moments for his real job duties, once again, just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're really just hanging on to wait until around 2 o'clock for Shaz Preston to make his announcement. The really talented a receiver prospect from Louisiana. So we're hanging on for that. Hopefully, Nick Saban can finish the job there. I feel really good about this guy, but you can never tell with a Louisiana prospect. So we'll see if Alabama can pull him in at 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 Eastern. So that's what we're hanging out for. Like we mentioned, the chat is open for anything that you would like to talk about. Cassidy says, "I hate we got beat last night in basketball." Yeah, tough night last night, real tough. But we talked about that a little bit. And the fact that, the team was coming off the big wins against Gonzaga and Houston. They looked a little tired. They were a little out of sync. Memphis is a really talented team. They have, a talented roster as anybody else in the country. I know their record would not indicate that, but, they're a young team that is just littered with NBA prospects. So, uh, wasn't going to be an easy win for Alabama, regardless. So they looked a little tired, they looked a little off, and but the good news is basketball season is a long season, and Alabama will have plenty of opportunities to reconcile that. So uh, nothing really lost there for Alabama. Y'all,
All
Jake has made it back
right. And sorry. When you're off, you still get phone calls you have to take. So
all the
it
time.
is what it is. So, but but all is good now, and I'm back, and we're right around 30-35 minutes until Preston announces. So we're gonna try to keep this train rolling until then. Um,
I'll be honest with you, Jake. If Alabama can finish the day with Preston, Little, and Jahad Campbell, I would be more than happy.
yeah, me too.
Now, I would love to get Shamar James, and if they get Shamar James, um, I think that would be a big time for Alabama.
The three guys you first mentioned though, if we end the day with just those guys, I'm perfectly fine with that. And then
Yeah,
anybody after that is just is great as well. So, uh, but if we can finish, we're going to finish strong with them three guys more than likely. So, um, but anybody after that you may see flip, or you may that we didn't think we might get, because there's always one of those. It seems like every class there's somebody that, well, you know Alabama just not. There's just I just don't see how Alabama's going to get them, and then they're like, I'm signing with University of Alabama. They're like, oh, okay. Always one or two of those in every class. So uh, we might still have that. Um, so we will see. Let's see. Sorry, that's my dog.
no, that's no worries, no worries.
I think she wants some more food. Come here. Oh me. Um, I Yeah, I'm not seeing. I was looking at the crystal ball target projections. I don't see anything moving per se
Right.
right now.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I feel pretty confident that Alabama's going to finish with Preston, Little, and Campbell. I th-
Hmm.
I I feel good about all three of those guys. Um, I think it's too hard to tell on Lucas, Marvin Jones Jr., the, and maybe a guy like Kendrick Law who doesn't announce until Friday. But um, I don't have the feeling that Shamar James will end up in Alabama. I feel like he's going to go to Georgia.
Hmm.
Um, a Mobile kid, but we've went to Georgia and got some of their kids before too. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dang. I just looked over. I just flipped over, and since we was talking about basketball, I was seeing the 2022 commitments for basketball. Brandon Miller and Jaden Bradley are both 5 stars. That
yeah,
is wow. They've got. I'm used to looking at their basketball recruit and only seeing 2 and 3 star guys. Maybe one's 4 star in a class. All of them are 4 stars, besides 4 or 5 stars, besides one guy so far.
yeah, the JUCO
Wow.
kid.
Yeah. Holy mess. Anyway. Oh, but we're going to press on here. We're getting closer to Shaz Preston's recruitment, or his
Decision.
decision, and more than likely it's going to be Alabama. I don't see anything changing that. I don't see late any kind of involvement from anybody. So I think we're going to be good on that, Bama fans.
Yeah, just looking at the list here, I think by the time Friday ends, Alabama you could see between now at what is it 1:30 on Wednesday, between 1:30 on Wednesday till Friday afternoon at about 3, I could see Alabama landing Shaz Preston, Earl Little Jr., Jahad Campbell, and Kendrick Law. Now, Kendrick Law is another Louisiana kid who you cannot count out for his in-state school, but
Hmm.
um, it's a little tougher to tell than maybe what Preston is. But I do like Alabama's chances.
Oh, yeah. Rivals has right now has Shaz Preston as a 90% going to Alabama and 10% to LSU. So that looks really good for Alabama here in a few minutes. So
Yeah.
and I just want to say this real quick, if you don't mind me saying,
Go. You say whatever you want to say.
as bad as a rap, and I'm one that have been one of the most outspoken people of Pete Golding on his coaching, but this year has been a lot better. But his recruiting, he's recruited some high level guys for Alabama, in the last couple of years. He seems like he knows his stuff when it comes to recruiting and how to draw these guys here. So
Yeah.
he was one of the big ones on Shaz Preston I saw. So
All right. I've been texting with a source of mine, and
mhm.
he is also being told that Otis has signed. He's waiting on one more solid confirmation
Oh
to
wow,
really. So
okay,
that's big
nice.
time.
That's big time.
I didn't. I don't want to say I had a bad feeling, but uh, I had a little turn in my stomach because of the push that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss made late on Otis. So holding on to him could be huge because I think he's a guy like we talked about earlier. If he can hold a good body weight, he can be a difference maker for Alabama along the defensive line.
Absolutely, he looks like he's going to be the real deal here in a few years. And we've got big guys on campus already. Tim Smith, I mean that guy's going to get his chance next year, and I believe he could he could fit in perfectly on that defensive front.
Yeah.
Otis skin. So I'm excited to get him on campus. So or your sources are you know
Yep.
9 out of 10 times are correct. So man, I can't I'm glad to have that you know that pretty much confirmed because like you said I man Lane Kiffin wanted him real bad, and you saw the last like 6 months he visited the campus 3 different times and was a part of their I think a camp down there just a few short weeks ago. So, but
One thing that our buddy uh, Stephen Willis mentioned is that there's really not a lot of drama around Ole Miss here on the early signing day. So
mhm.
um, uh, that's really surprising because there's always drama around Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Oh, Lane, don't ever change, man. I love Lane. He's so you know. But it's I'm glad because if there was going to be drama around that organization, it would have been Otis, and since he did come out early and said that, I kind of felt a little bit better. So if he has already signed his LOI, that's great.
Just a reminder, the chat is open. We'll be live for around another 30 minutes or so until Shaz Preston makes his official announcement. So the chat's open. Jump in there. Let us know your thoughts, questions, concerns, whatever it is. Um, we would be happy to discuss, anything with you. Even though this is a signing day special, we'll be happy to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss while we wait on Shaz Preston's announcement. But one other thing, make sure you are subscribed. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It just takes a second to do that. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up, and we would greatly appreciate that. I know we mentioned that we haven't been on podcast platform for the last couple of weeks, so we'll be back on there here shortly. But you can still go find us in the podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you do Apple Podcast, go down there, leave us a 5-star written review. I don't care what the written review says, but make sure you leave us a 5-star written review. That helps us out tremendously as well. So we would greatly appreciate that, and we love the support that we get from everybody that listens to us. So Just excited to continue to bring new podcast episodes to you as often as possible.
Absolutely, man. According to the CBS Sports, the Nets got up before Shaz. Derek Moore, he's up here at 145. They had that Kelly guy at 2, but apparently, so I don't know what happened there. It still is not updated to where he's signed to. So I'm not sure if he postponed his announcement till later. Uh, like I said, neither one of those guys are Bama guys, but I'm just trying to keep you guys up to date. What's coming up. With the next 10 minutes here, and then of course we got about 20 minutes, 20-25 for Shaz.
Yeah, and Shaz will be on ESPN2. That's where his announcement will be made. So at 2 p.m. Central Time. So we're really looking forward to that.
Absolutely, Shaz looks like another guy who can become one of those stud wide receivers
Yep.
for us in a few years.
Yeah, he's kind of a mixture to me between a John Mechie and a Devontae Smith as far as his build. That's the type of player he is. More of a possession guy than just a home run threat, but he's talented enough to do either one. So I really like Preston. I think he could be a big time player for Alabama in the future.
Absolutely, a lot of already got Kobe coming in. Now we're gonna have Shaz, and we have seen the last couple of years how freshmen have made an impact at wide receiver. So I know there's a lot of talent there right now, but I wouldn't count out one of them guys getting in the starting role, next year if their name is called.
Well, the wide receiver class is really interesting because they're all between 5'9" and 5'11". If Preston signs, he would obviously be the big guy, the big
Hmm.
possession guy at 6'190". But they're all around 5'9", 5'10", 170 pounds or so.
Right.
And when you talk about Aaron Anderson, Kobe Prentice, uh, Isaiah Bond,
Hmm.
they're all kind of in that mold. So, and I know I'm missing somebody, but um, this it's kind of crazy because last year's class you saw guys like Ja'Cory Brooks, Ajay Hall, who were 6'2" or 6'3". The class before that had a guy like Trayshawn Holden. So it looks like Saban's trying to find some smaller, quicker players because you see when against these great elite defenses like Georgia, when you got a guy with some speed, it's hard to coach that. So
Sure.
so that means it's hard to coach against it. So
Yeah.
I think Saban's trying to expose some deficiencies in other teams' defenses. So
And that's why he's the mastermind. We talked about it. When everybody started going to this hurry up type offense, and Alabama still had that dominating defense. He told the college football world, he said, "Okay, do you want to move to this new style of offense? Because if you want to, then I'm going to do it as well. And I'm going to beat y'all with it." Now he got the quarterbacks, coming in, the accurate quarterbacks, as we called them. We had beefed up offensive linemen, and we just started running that not up tempo hurry up type deal, but more speeding the game up a little bit and scoring at will on people. And now people was getting mad about Alabama doing that. Well, I mean, Saban told you, said, if you want me to start doing it, I'm going to start doing it, and y'all not going to like it. And he's made people pay for it so far.
yeah. Um, let's see here. Just making sure we're not missing any updates from throughout the landscape of college football. Um,
Apparently, Malik Kelly has postponed his commitment because now it's not even showing up on their board. He isn't, so I'm not sure what happened there. So that I don't even know who he was intending to go to.
yeah, not really sure. I, it's hard enough to keep up with the guys who are interested in Alabama, much
I
less.
know for sure. Yep. Let's see.
We're closing in on 15 minutes from Shaz Preston's decision, so hopefully Alabama can get his signature and add to this current class that's ranked number one, in the country. So really excited about what's happening right now.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Getting getting closer to Shaz's time, and man, I'm and then of course like we still got some guys later on this evening, um, but there's still time for Alabama to land a couple more guys
Yep.
outside of Preston. So let's see. Um, what we haven't really talked much about him, but you may mention a little bit, but how do you feel about Jaleel Skinner? How do you think he's going to work out in the future at Alabama?
I think he's going to be a great tight end for Alabama.
Hmm.
Um, he is but tight end's another position that's so hard to project because at the high school level, they're so much bigger and faster than the guys they play against that um, it just makes it really tough to gauge. Um, and I do have confirmation now that Jaheim Otis has indeed signed with Alabama 14 minutes ago. Uh,
Boom.
he signed officially, and this is from Gary Burton, who works for WJTV there in Jackson, Mississippi. So he was there to cover it, verified account. Um, so big time news there.
Man, that is huge. That's awesome. That's a big time pickup on that defensive line. I just can't believe nobody hadn't been put out yet. But you said that was just 14 minutes ago when he
Correct.
did.
When
Okay.
he tweeted that, it was 14 minutes ago.
I figured that would have been more talked about nationally because I mean, like you said, he's a four or five
Well,
star guy.
if
So,
he
but
had been uncommitted
yeah, that's true.
today,
That's
then
true.
yeah. But he's been a pledge to Alabama or a commitment for Alabama for some time now. So
Okay.
that would be why he didn't receive a lot of national recognition leading up to his his signing.
Just looking at a few things. Don't see anything major coming down the pipeline at this moment.
I'm gonna ask a question to those watching the live stream right now. Is there
Hmm.
anybody that is not an Alabama fan that's watching right now?
This is a good question. I'd like to know. And thank y'all for hanging out with us for nearly 2 hours.
For sure.
You know,
I can barely put up with Jake for 2 minutes, much less 2 hours.
ain't that the truth? Yeah. I have a lot of people tell me that.
Uh,
They tell me that at work all the time. That's why I just stay in my little cubicle all day.
yep.
I figure once everything gets processed, the Alabama football Twitter account will have talk about Otis on there, and it
Well,
ain't shut up yet. So
what I'm betting has happened is I bet he did send his signed letter of intent early this morning, but he just held his kind of ceremony this afternoon, so
yeah,
people at school could be there and all that type of stuff. So
yeah,
I
that's a fair
imagine
point.
that's probably what happened. So they're probably just waiting. The school Alabama was probably just waiting for that to officially happen before they release their graphic, announcing him as one of their signees.
Yeah, exactly.
We're closing in about 10, 12 minutes now. Shaz Preston will make his decision. So, uh, getting excited, man. This would be a good pickup for Alabama.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be good. Just seeing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gary Burton Jr. I just seen that. So he has signed with Alabama. So there we go. I'm starting to see it more now. So yes, it is. It is official.
Uh, as we anxiously await Shaz Preston. Um,
Mhm.
Jake, let's talk for a few minutes about just a quick look at Cincinnati and what you think might happen there in the Cotton Bowl Classic.
Yeah. Um, you know, if Alabama plays their game, they're going to steamroll Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a good team, but I mean, honestly, have they played anybody that is a top caliber as Alabama? I don't think Notre Dame is that team, and I know they beat them. But Alabama's a different animal when they're playing their game, and we saw that just a few weeks ago. Um, I can see Cincy keeping it close, maybe the first quarter and a half, and then maybe by halftime, starting the third quarter, Alabama just starts rolling away with it. But I can also see Alabama taking the ball and destroying them from the get go. I just don't think Cincy has seen the speed and seen the players like Alabama has. I mean, I know they hadn't seen anybody with JMO's speed at all this year.
No,
So
they hadn't seen JMO, so they hadn't seen anybody with
yeah,
his kind of speed yet.
exactly. So how did like you said, you can't coach somebody to cover a guy who can outrun your defense. So
Right, right.
I mean, unless you leave, but I mean, we saw it in the Georgia game. They tried to leave a safety over the top on him. He still outran the safety and the corner
Yeah.
on that touchdown pass. So I mean, once he gets past you, and he's got, and now Mac is not Mac, but Bryce is throwing an accurate, deep ball. It could get ugly early.
Now I'll say this: that Cincinnati has a couple really good corners,
They do.
uh, so that's going to be an interesting matchup because John Mechie's not going to be playing. So
Hmm.
who is there to kind of play Robin to JMO's Batman? So is it going to be Ja'Cory Brooks? Is it going to be Trayshawn Holding? Is it going to be JoJo Earl, who could possibly be back for then? What do they do with Slade Bolden in the slot?
Hmm.
So could we even see a guy like Jaleel Billingsley play more out wide? We've seen him play there several times this season. So I'm anxious to see what the coaching staff does with the absence of John Mechie offensively. Can the offensive line continue the success they had against Georgia as far as being able to communicate well, make the right calls, be in the right assignments? Because if they do that against Cincinnati, they'll be able to run the ball. They'll be able to protect Bryce, and if those two things happen, Jake, uh, Alabama will have their way with Cincinnati. Now, when Cincinnati has the ball, it's a little bit different. Desmond Ritter is a guy who can make plays with both
Yeah.
his arms and his legs. Jerome Ford is a back who obviously was at Alabama at one point in time, so we know how talented he is. They have a receiver that's I think 6'3" or 6'4", so that's a tough matchup for one-on-one matchups. So uh, they'll be able to make a few plays here and there. But I'm with you. I think over a 4-quarter contest, it's going to be hard for a team like Cincinnati who, despite the fact that they do have some talented guys, sprinkled throughout their roster, they don't have the depth, they don't have the
Hmm.
the physicality, uh, the team speed that Alabama has. So I think over a 4-quarter contest, Alabama can wear Cincinnati down and really control the narrative of that game for at least a half of it, or maybe 2/3.
Absolutely. And you talked about depth. That's what Alabama has done to a lot of depth depleted teams this year. They wear you out come fourth quarter, just like the Tennessee game. I mean, Tennessee kept it close for 3 quarters, but then that fourth quarter, I mean, they had no dudes left that wasn't gassed on that defensive front, and we started having our way with them. So,
Right.
I don't, you know, I know. Pretty much all America wants to see Alabama get beat here, but I just don't see it. And we could have another matchup, which that's another thing America does not want a matchup between two SEC teams in the national championship game. But we're you know it could definitely happen.
What do you see happening there in the matchup between Georgia and Michigan?
I mean, if Michigan watches that game film that Alabama has laid out on how to beat Georgia, they have a chance. I don't think they can do it because they don't have the studs Alabama has. Aiden Hutchinson is good, but he's not a Will Anderson. He can't. I don't think he's going to be in the backfield or disrupt a play like Will Anderson does every single play. It seems like Will Anderson disrupts every single play. Whether he's in the backfield or whether he's just reading where the running back's going and makes a great tackle. I don't think Hudson is good, but he's not Will Anderson. And McNamara, he's a good quarterback. He's not Bryce Young, you
Yeah.
know. And they do run the ball with some success. So if they can get through the front seven and have success in the secondary, running the ball, getting the second and third level in the second, running the ball, it could become a bad day. But Georgia's just too talented. I think Georgia overall is going to win, and they may win by 14, 17 points.
Okay. I have a feeling this game could go a lot like we thought the Alabama Georgia game could go,
Hmm.
where it's 24-21, 24-20, 27-21, somewhere along the. I think it's going to play more in that ballpark, um, and I think Georgia probably wins because they're more talented,
Right.
more team speed. But I think Michigan will probably throw everything they have at them
Oh yeah.
and make it a contest. But I do think Georgia will um, prevail in that contest.
Yeah. And the New Year's bowls. There's a lot of, a lot of good. We're gonna have a preview show. A lot of
Yeah,
good games. To watch. And don't the first like bowl game start here within the next couple of days? Don't they release?
Friday,
Yeah,
Friday,
Friday. So
Northern
that's still
Illinois. No, Toledo. I can't.
somebody I know.
Coastal
So
Carolina. Some.
there's a lot of football to be watched in the next like 3 weeks. So all
Yes.
leading up to the showdown. More than likely going to be Alabama and Georgia for the national championship again.
That's what I'm feeling.
Hmm.
Sorry, America.
Hey, if you don't want us up there, beat us. It's simple as that. But you can't because you have.
How
Yeah.
how would you how would you feel about a rematch?
I mean, I'll be fine with it. But my question is, what is Georgia going to? How are they going to adjust? You know, because what we did, we played our game on the offense. We played a lot better, but it's the same as that. We just finally executed a whole lot better. Offensive line played outstanding. We're gonna have to do that again against them.
Hmm.
But you know, if we play our game and they make zero adjustments, it's going to end up being 41-24 again.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I, I just don't see how Georgia can think they're going to win when they're not elite at quarterback
Nope.
and when they don't have a guy like a Jamison Williams or John Mechie out wide. Look,
Right.
their tight end is a
Yeah.
good a tight end as there is in college football, but it's hard if that's your main guy. It's hard to be elite on offense that way.
That's
So,
right.
um, So I just feel like I mentioned before the SEC championship game, Jake. In these type games, I go with the team that has the elite quarterback.
Elite quarterback and the best coach,
Yeah.
and that's Nick Saban. And you know,
By the way, speaking of Georgia, and if there's any Georgia fans watching, I'm sorry, but my goodness, Devontae Smith was known as the Slim Reaper for the last 5 years. They sign a guy today, and their Twitter people over at Georgia call him the Slim Reaper. I mean,
um,
like, good grief, when does it stop?
right, copycats. I mean, Kirby trying his best to beat Saban, trying to beat him too, and he can't do it. And I think that's what Georgia's downfall is. Kirby wants to beat Saban so bad, and he just gets goofy with some of his play calls in the game. I mean, we send the 4th and 11 play, stuff like that. It's just, he just wants to beat Saban so bad, and that right there is his downfall. He don't. I guess that's a good passion and drive to have, but it's not working right now because Saban's beat him on and what the last 4 or 5 occasions they played against each other. Last
Right.
four, I think.
Right.
So we're right here at Shaz. Of course, it'll probably be about 10 minutes after, you know, because
Yeah,
they
Shaz
they
Preston should be coming up any moment now on ESPN2. That's where I told he was going to be committing at. So uh, we're keeping an eye on that. So we'll see what happens there. Currently, they're showing Steph Curry and how he passed Ray Allen for the most 3 pointers made in NBA history. So that's pretty
I
neat.
I don't think anybody. I mean, Curry's like 31,
He
32.
he's done it in almost half as many games as it took Ray Allen.
Yeah. And I mean he's still got potentially 4 or 5 more years left. I don't think anybody's
Oh,
going to break that record because I mean he's still going to shoot threes from Egypt to make them. You know.
yeah. I mean, I think he's probably 30, ain't he? 32
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, he's still got 4 to 5 years of playing time, maybe
of,
more.
of of good basketball left in him, probably
Yeah.
because he's in good shape.
Right. I don't know if that won't ever be broken. I didn't think anybody was ever going to break Ray Allen's record, but he come
Right.
on the scene and you know
Unreal. And it's a
it
different
is.
era. It's a different era, but
It
he's
is.
he's the greatest shooter of all time. There ain't no doubt
Oh,
about it.
I mean he can spot up with somebody in his face or do a step back and just drain them. I mean, it don't even touch rim. It's all bottom of the net. I mean, it's insane the deadly accuracy talking about that he's got.
Hey, you want to talk about the class rankings? How about Missouri and Eli Drakewitz? I mean,
Mm,
they're top 10, top 12 in
I
the
don't know.
country.
That's
That's that
shocking.
that's insane.
And they only won what 6 games this year.
Yep.
Well, they got a bowl game, so they could potentially win 7. But you know, I think Kentucky's had a really good class. Um, they, so that's good. And they also got to extend their coach, which I was hoping Stoops would have stayed there because he just fits that program.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
So I mean, they may be number 2 in the West or the East for the next couple of years because Florida's down right now. Billy Napier was a great hire. It's going to take him a couple of years to build that back up after the monstrosity that
He's got to
monstrosity that
he's got to
yeah
build a roster, man. Their roster's
yeah
weak.
it is.
There's some guys sprinkled in there, Jake, but to compete in the SEC, he's going to have to build that roster. So it's
You
going to
know,
take him some time, and I hope they can
yeah,
be patient with him, man. I mean,
I know.
I'm not sure they gave McElwain enough time,
I don't think they did either. And you
but
talk and what disappointed me most, and I believe it was in the Missouri game, and what is that Missouri kid's name that's so good that the running back that's pretty much their whole offense. I can't think of his
yeah,
name right now. But on one of those is in the overtime, Brandon Cox had his hand on him and didn't after that, and he just went on to buy. He just stopped. He never tried
right.
to make a play or anything. That team just gave up on and I mean I guess for obvious reasons, but you can't have that negativity in the locker
No,
room. So
you're
either
right.
that's going to have to change, or Cox needs to be hitting the door and Billy Napier needs to be telling him to find somewhere else to play because you
Yeah,
don't want that bad apple on the team, especially when you're
yeah,
trying to rebuild.
exactly,
So
exactly. Well, we're like we said, we're closing in on Preston's decision. It should be within the next 5 minutes or so. So we're excited about that. I guess the biggest news of the day is the fact that Travis Hunter, uh,
yeah,
who was originally
that's
committed to FSU,
that's insane.
has signed with Jackson State and Deion Sanders. So Deion Sanders making a splash. Hunter signs a massive $1.5 million NIL deal with Barstool Sports. So welcome to the new age of college football.
That's right. And what's insane was Mike Norvell got his contract extension yesterday. He loses out on his number one recruit today, and there was a what they call spaces in Twitter that was saying
Over
fire Matt
two
Norvell. Yeah,
and over 2,000 people were in it.
yeah. I'm like, I mean, 24-hour difference. It's
Why?
crazy.
Why would they give him an extension?
I don't know. I don't. He's done a lot better. He had a better year this year. I know they laid an egg against Florida, but I mean, Willie Taggart did not do anything to help that program in the long
No,
run.
no.
So that was a bad hire to begin with. Norvell's done a little bit better, but I wouldn't have gave him an extension. I think he had like another year on his contract. See what he done this year, and then this coming up year, and then extend him. But I don't know. I would try to go after somebody else if they're that desperate. And again, maybe they thought the extension would help keep Hunter
Hunter.
there
Yeah.
too. I don't know, but maybe there's a lot of rumblings that we hadn't heard about since we're not in that circle that he was thinking about committing elsewhere and
Yeah.
decommit from them. So who knows? But you was talking about the new age of football. I mean, you can almost go to a recruit now. Back 20 years ago, you couldn't do this. Now you can and say, "Here's your blank check. How much? What is it going to take to get you to come to University of Colorado or
Right.
University
Yeah.
of USC, Alabama?" You
Yeah.
know, I just don't. I mean, it is what it is now. I know a lot of people was happy about it because we're going to finally get a new college football game, but I just don't know how it's going to work out in the long run. I mean, you're going to have the number one recruits go to small schools like that. But
Well,
uh, you know,
uh, I tell you, look, I want the kids to be able to get paid for name, image, and likeness. But
right,
I mean, you opened up a can of worms when this happened. So
right, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you can buy their jersey, they ought to be able to get something. And we've been buying jerseys for years,
Yeah.
and they haven't been able to get anything. So
But see, and that's fine. But where does it end?
right, exactly.
Where does it end?
It doesn't look like there's no end into it now, right now.
Yeah.
We should be getting close. I'm trying to. I ain't seen anything. Not seen anything new come up.
By the way,
Mhm.
while I'm here, YouTube TV is having a dispute with Disney, which means that if Friday it doesn't get fixed up, I will not have ESPN and Disney and all that anymore. So
Uh
if somebody from YouTube TV is watching this, get your act together and get that fixed,
oh.
or
Yeah.
you're going to lose millions of customers.
Yeah.
There's
Ain't that
literally
the truth?
probably 20 to 25 people at my work that have YouTube TV, and every one of them says I'm dropping it if they drop ESPN.
What's the dispute about?
Just, I'm sure it's over money, Jake.
Mm, that's true.
Well, Shaz Preston is about to make his announcement. He has Georgia, LSU, Southern University, and Alabama, and looks like another hat on there on the table, maybe Texas. So, fixing to find out where Preston will be headed. So, uh, anxious to see where he picks. As soon as he makes his decision, we'll chat about that for a couple minutes, and then we're going to ease our way on out of here.
Yeah. Probably more than likely going to be Alabama, but I don't foresee anything changing um, within the
Roll
next
Tide.
5 years. Roll Tide.
So
Oh yeah,
Shaz Preston will be signing with the University of Alabama. ESPN has him as the number 3 wide receiver, number 15 overall prospect. Big time stay there for the Crimson Tide. The rich continue to get richer. Super excited to have him in part of the class.
absolutely. We talked about he could make an immediate impact along with Kobe Prentice. Big pickup. Maybe he's the next one to come in, but we still got a few more here in a couple hours. But we won't be here that long. But great to get him, and what a way to end the show,
That's
having
right.
Shaz Preston commit.
Yeah, we had really good bookends at the start of the show. We got the commitment from Curtis Perry. We end the show with the commitment from Shaz Preston. So really good show. Appreciate everybody watching. Stay tuned to to to
Get that
different
win.
to guys. Earl Jr. making his announcement at 3 p.m. Jahad Campbell at 3:15. A couple other guys to listen to watch out for is Anthony Lucas at 3:30. Shamar James at 5 p.m. So make sure you're tuning into all that. We appreciate everybody watching for this 2-hour live stream of National Signing Day. We're going to hit the road now. We appreciate everybody watching. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.